Dr. Seuss lived from 1904 till 1991, and he was no doctor at all. In fact, that was an alias that he made up because his father always wanted him to be a doctor.
When we first found them, these look very similar, almost identical to the works that are in the 500 hats of Bartholomew Cubbins. And when you look at the book, I mean, obviously when I came across this collection and I saw the quality of the work, it's 100% Dr. Seuss. And you can see by the fluidity of the line, the way it's executed. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. So anyway, so when I found these works and I saw that obviously it was very similar to the book, the first thing that goes into your head is, why are they so similar?
He understood rhythm. And you know, he wrote 46 children's books, and it was such a successful and popular career for him because before he started writing children's books and launched Green Eggs and Ham, which was the best children's book of all time, the books for kids were so boring and dull. You know, see Jane run, run Jane, run!
When we found these, we then showed it to Steve Brezzo, who worked with Dr. Seuss. He's the only one who ever handled Dr. Seuss's original work.
I worked with Dr. Seuss. I lived right next door to him for almost 25, almost 30 years. And he was one of my big patrons and supported me. I was the director of the San Diego Museum of Art for 20 years and curated exhibitions and worked with him. I wrote his biography and did an exhibition, his only retrospective, in 1986.
When Steve saw these, he said, these are ink tests. So these are very important. So this Dr. Seuss was so meticulous that he would want to do drawings and ink tests to then see how the book would reproduce itself. Based on that, then he would go back and recreate the work. So this is really would be like a conceptual, preliminary, but very finished rendering of the book art. And if you actually look at the book, it's really interesting because I actually think some of these are actually better.
These are, a lot of them are sketches and illustrations called working sketches. So Ted would sit and think out loud on the paper, do illustrations, but he worked on style and form. And there are even some things from his Dartmouth days for the magazine that he drew for, the Humor magazine. They were made for his own study. He gave them to friends or he sold them. They were personal drawings from which he would then extrapolate and create finished drawings for the books.
He started doing the sculptures in 1938, going forward. So that could have been anywhere from 40s, maybe 1940s, 1950 time frame that he would have done something like that. Look at this too. That's a wall sculpture on the top left.
This is a Tufted Custard. One thing that Dr. Seuss did was created a program of taxidermy for his SO oil campaign. And it's a wonderful sculpture because it's alive with personality.
Again, his mind, you know, to have a cat popping out of the frame is really just Dr. Seuss's mind in itself. But this is all his original writing and of course the signature, which is kind of cool. It's framed by Dr. Seuss. I mean, he cut it out, he did that, and it's signed. I mean, where have you ever seen something that Dr. Seuss framed and I mean, put together like that with the hat popping out and everything?
People knew him as a children's book author, and before he was a children's book author, he penned about 400 political cartoons. And he was a flaming liberal. He was outspoken for the underdog. You know, you probably remember Horton the elephant. And the whole thing was about, you know, person to person, no matter how small. And the Lorax is like the biggest environmentalist ever. So he was very concerned about, you know, what was ethical and what was right. And in addition to that, he was a closet case fine art painter. And what was really exciting about this collection is that his work was sophisticated and rich. One of his hallmarks was that there were just no straight lines. So it was fluid, and he was prolific, and it was a secret collection that he had. This book was created and published, and his work was critically acclaimed. And since its discovery, the work has been published as a fine art collection of limited editions, and it's traveled around the world. And it's extraordinary to discover his secret fine art, because he was a beautiful artist.